today I'm going to give one high-level understanding on MDG and what exactly we are covering in our discussion. So basically the discussion will be very much practical oriented because honestly speaking, I learned MDG from the real time. So from real time project, I learned MDG. So the way I learned MDG, I will share my knowledge in such a way. So majority of the activity what I'm going to discuss here, that will be over the system. That will be, I will create small implementation, small demo for each and every activity which I will talk about in detail. And with creation of those small demo or implementation, I will explain each and every topic whatever we have. So basically, if I talk about SAP MDG, SAP MDG is a techno-functional module. We have the functional area, we also have the technical area. And to keep in mind this MDG activity, we divide the audiences or we divide the people who are coming to MDG world into, uh, into three different audiences or three different consultant levels. One is architect, second one is functional consultant, and third one technical consultant. Why I'm sharing this information? The reason is today whoever the people have joined, they might come from different background, maybe from SAP, some may not be from SAP. They can be the targeted audience for this MDG. So to keep in mind what is the demand in MDG in a real-time market. So we have prepared a such kind of discussion agenda which will cover these three different level of people: the architect, the functional consultant, and the technical consultant. So these three different people can join MDG and can start the work on MDG. I will talk about more detail what is the role for architect as far as MDG is concerned, what is the role for functional consultant and technical consultant as far as MDG is concerned. So first of all, as I said that SAP MDG is a techno-functional module. So before we talk about what are those different levels we have in MDG, what are those different responsibilities we have in MDG, and who is going to take care what kind of responsibility and what are those each and every responsibility in detail. Before I explain that, I just want to start with one very simple question, that is, what is MDG and why MDG in this industry? Now, to explain or elaborate this question, I want to give one certain example or case. If I talk about what is the difference between today's industry and 20 years or 25 years back industry, what is the problem in today's industry and 25 years back industry, what kind of problem we had? This is a very, very important question. If you see 20 or 25 years back, if you see any kind of industry or organization, they had a challenge to have some data. Let's say if I assume that 20 years back, if there was like Walmart or some big bazaar kind of retail chain, and if any customer went to that particular retail shop and purchase something or buy something, organization doesn't have such kind of application or mechanism to capture the customer detail. Max to max, they contain or they collect customer name and telephone number or fax number or address details, etc. Max to max. There is nothing like email ID uh, or any other items. Today, when we go to Walmart or Big Bazaar or this kind of retail shop, what we see that whenever one customer purchase something, they have not only these are all basic details, also they collect the details about what are those items customer has been purchased, and that is also based on different season. In summer, what kind of items one particular customer is looking for. In winter, what kind of items customer is looking for. And these are all details like email ID and etc. So why this data is important? Why more and more data is important? Specifically items details based on the different season, based on the different occasions. Why? Just to analyze the customer mind. That one certain customer, what kind of product they want, let's say in Diwali, or let's say in New Year's, what kind of product they usually buy. So accordingly, they will push those products in a more way, in a better way, in a large way. So this is nothing but a business, and this is nothing but a business strategy. So to make a business strategy, you must have a proper data. So here data is key. If you do not have a proper data, you cannot do such kind of analysis. But at the same time, yes, 20 or 25 years back, we did not have much data, but now we have a lot of data. We have thousands of data, lakhs of data every organization. The problem is we do not have proper data. That is the biggest challenge in today's world. Let's say a customer name is, let's say, Linda, and some telephone numbers are there. There is no fax number available. In address, just written Bangalore. No other details are available. Items, no items available. No occasions, no email ID. So if this is the situation of the data, then I can say it is just like a useless data. It's not a useful data for me. I have to make my data as a master data, as the data which not only enrich my business, also it will have a complete information about the customer. So to keep this situation or to keep this issue in mind, SAP came up with a module which is called SAP MDM, which is nothing but Master Data Management. So SAP Master Data Management. SAP Master Data Management have different tools like console, import manager. Now you're probably thinking that why I'm talking about MDM when we are gathered to discuss about MDG, because the origin of the MDG is MDM. When I'm talking about MDG, it is also required that we must talk about little bit on MD, because MDG did not came whenever this issue SAP thought about this issue. MDG came later, before MDM came, and MDM addressed this kind of issues, which is making the data as a golden record, to cleansing the data, to merging the data, to validate the data, to derive the data, to make a certain business flow, to make a certain workflow, to make a certain process in the data level, to load the data, to replicate the data. These are all activity we can able to do through this MDM. And MDM has these four elements, which is a very, very important elements. So basically console is such kind of a tool where we can store the basic information, the table data, the structure details, etc. By using the import manager, we load the data in MDM, which is in terms of XML file load. In data manager, we can have visibility of the data, like supplier details, manufacturing details, like material details, catalog details. These are all details we can see here through data management. And then the syndicator is the one which is used for replication purpose, data replication, to replicate the data from one MDM system to the another target system. This is nothing but syndicator. So by using this MDM, we address the data issues, and this MDM manage the data. Once the time goes on, industry felt that MDM has some certain gray areas. And what are those gray areas? Basically, MDM, whatever the kind of workflow MDM is offered, that is a very simple workflow. So if one organization has some certain complex process or business process, which quite difficult, or I can say not quite user friendly to implement through MDM, because SAP should have the target that not only to give the product which will resolve the issue, which will resolve the ongoing problems. Also at the same time, it should be user friendly. But MDM over the period of time, what SAP or the customer observe, that is, whenever we have some complex derivation validation, whenever we have some complex business process workflow, or whenever we have some complex replication activity, in those areas, MDM is not much user friendly. So that is the point which thought about MDG. So from that particular point, SAP brought with another product, which is nothing but SAP MDG, Master Data Governance. Now, in Master Data Governance, definitely in MDM, these are all certain tools are there or certain elements are there. In MDG also, we have certain elements. What are those? Data model, process model, UI model, workflow, validation and derivation, search and duplicate check, replication and so these are all major elements which we will talk about here in this agenda. So these are all important elements which is a part of MDG. So now here the first thing is, what is data model? If I explain in one liner, data model is the one where we store the data based on different domain, material, customer, vendor, finance, or some custom domain, etc. What is process modeling? Here we define the different kind of processes like create, change, mark for deletion, uh, uh, block and block, mass change, etc. What is UI modeling? UI modeling is here, by using this, we can define the UI interface to define the business process, validation and derivation, to define the validation and derivation of the field of UI. Also, not only for UI field property activities, at the same time to validate or derive the data for a workflow business or business workflow. Search and duplicate check. This is the activity where we can do some search of data or finding the duplicates, replication and import, where we replicate the data from MDG to the target system by using the import to load the data in MDG system as initial. So these are all detailed in one liner. We will talk about more in our agenda. So that means if I see MDG also providing workflow, MDM also providing work. MDG can validate or derive the data. MDM also can derive or validate the data. MDG can do some search and duplicate check. MDM also can do the same. MDG can also replicate the data or import the data by using the syndicator and import manager. MDM also can. Then where is the basic difference? So I can see whatever we can able to do in MDM, all we can able to do in MDG. What really makes difference in between these two? The first difference is MDM has written on C++, where MDG has written on SAP. This is the first major difference. As we know that SAP ABAP is a one and only programming language of SAP. So definitely from business point of view, SAP will make a major focus on this MDG rather than MDM, because at the back end, SAP ABAP is running, which is more user friendly as far as SAP business is concerned. The second major point is the kind of workflow which we use here in MDM, which is a simple work. But in MDG, we use rule-based work, which is nothing but the advanced workflow. And this is just not a workflow. This is workflow along with BRF plus. It's not only just a workflow, it also giving the BRF plus activity. What is BRF plus? Business Rule Framework Plus, where we define different kind of business rules. And by using this rule-based workflow, we can design complex to complex situation or complex to complex customer scenarios in a very simple way, where the MDM provided workflow is not that much of user friendly, or it is quite difficult to handle the complex scenario. So because of that reason, majority of the customers are moving towards MDG. The another difference is the interface we use in MDM, that is portal, where we use NWBC, which is nothing but Net Waiver Business Client, which is much advanced interface rather than a simple portal to handle different kind of processes in MDG, irrespective of different domain. The next difference could be the validation and derivation. So the validation and derivation happens at the field level and at the workflow business level or business workflow. Even it is same for this as well. The kind of validation and derivation we are doing in MDM, that is through MDM supported validation and derivation, where in MDG we are doing the validation and derivation by using SAP ABAP and SAP object oriented ABAP, which is more real-time approach rather than the MDM supported validation and derivation. And to handle complex to complex situation at any point of time, you can add certain rule, you can discard certain rule easily by using ABAP and object oriented ABAP in MDG, and which is not quite easy through MDM, or that is not much user friendly through MDM. Similarly, as far as replication and import is concerned, the kind of replication and import process we follow in MDM, it's now not a very good approach, or I can say it's not a very welcoming approach, where in MDG we perform the replication by using DRF, which is the advanced data replication. Import the data by using DIF, which is another advanced approach that is nothing but data, which is quite far better approach than the MDM supported replication. So I can say these are all major reasons. There are many more reasons are there, but majorly these are all reasons why majority of the customers are looking for MDG rather than. Now why I spent a lot of time to make this difference and talk about MDM and MDG as well, because MDG is not a alien module. It is not coming from a different world. It is coming from MDM. The origin of the MDG is MDM. The current architecture which we are using in MDG, before we start MDG, we have to understand what MDM it is and what kind of services we can provide in MDM. And these are all the high level discussion on that. Now that is understandable, okay? MDG has, these are all benefits which MDM doesn't have. And because of that reason, majority of the customers are moving for MDG. Now in MDG, what are those domains we cover? Majorly we have different domains like material, customer, vendor, finance, and custom domain. So material, so we have based on different domain, we have different data. So MM domain is nothing but the data related to material management, which store inside the MM data model. The customer and vendor information or customer master data or vendor master data store inside the BP data model, which is nothing but business partner. Business partner. What is called partner? Partner means the relationship in between the seller and buyer. This is called partner. So here one is customer, another one is vendor. This is nothing but business partner. Finance. Finance is stored inside the OG data model and custom domain. Any custom application, let's say asset management, let's say airline application, let's say car manufacturing application. These are all nothing but the custom domain activity, which is neither related with material, nor related with customer, nor related with vendor, and nor related with finance. It is absolutely different application altogether. And that we define any kind of custom domain that will be defined in the data model level start with Y or Z. Let's say YA or ZA. This way we define any custom domain which define in the data model level that should start with Y or Z. So these are all different domain we use in MDG.